On this week's ESO vlog, we take an advanced look at leveling the clothing profession. Welcome to our advanced clothing leveling tutorial. This video is intended for people who have experience with Elder Scrolls crafting or who have already watched our basic overview leveling tutorial. If you are unfamiliar with Elder Scrolls crafting system or would like to watch our introductory video first, you can find a link to that video in the bottom right hand corner. It will remain there throughout this video. Alright, let's get started. So now that we have the fundamentals down of the Clothier profession, we now need to manipulate the process to create the most efficient leveling experience we can. So let's start with the creation process. The experience awarded when you create an item, is based solely on the item level. But if you take a look, the larger pieces, chest and legs, require more items for the same item level than do the smaller pieces. Here we have a level 1 leather chest piece requires 7 pieces of leather. Same level 1 boots require only 5, and because they are the exact same level, they are going to award the exact same amount of experience. So we're going to avoid the large pieces. Which small piece you create is up to you. If you have a research trait that you can apply to one of these pieces and maybe sell it for a little bit more gold than the others, that's a good direction to go. So now that we know which item we are going to create, we need to know what level to create it at. And the only way to do that is through testing. In the top right hand corner, you will see I am 631 points into level 3. So let's go ahead and create these level 1 boots. And now I am 690. So that would be 60 points based on 5 pieces of leather, or 12 experience inspiration points, whatever you want to call them, per leather. So let's take this up a notch and go to level 6 at 7 pieces of leather. And let's create. I was at 690. I am now at 842. So what is that? 152 points based on 7 pieces of leather. So that's going to be what? Roughly 22 experience points per piece of leather, which is well above the 12 points that we got for creating a level 1. So we're going to continue and push this up to a level 8 item at a cost of 8 pieces of leather so that we can find the most efficient point at which we can craft. So as I make these level 8 boots, we see that my skill now goes from 842 all the way up to 1019. It's about 177 points. Again, right at 22. Now at 6 pieces, we were just under 22. At 8, we're just over. What's interesting about this, though, is, remember, it's displaying whole numbers, so I really don't have the evidence I need, because this could be some form of algorithmic rounding error. But I am interested because other trade skills have shown diminishing returns at this point, but this one didn't. So now we're going to move on and create an even higher level item and see if the trend of increasing rewards continues. So let's manufacture this level 14 pair of boots. And in the top left corner, we saw that my skill bar just went from 1,019 points to 1,287. At 11 pieces of leather, that's roughly 24 1/3 per piece of leather. So the trend line has continued, and we've established that there is no diminishing returns for the Clothier, or bell curve, for the Clothier profession, and that the most efficient experience gain from the crafting tab is to make the smallest pieces with the highest item level. If you recall the immortal words of Rainbow Randolph when the Irish Mafia was kicking his ass around the midget's house, I'm glad we were able to clear that up without further violence. Now that is the crafting or creation tab. But we know that's only half of the experience gain equation, and we need to take a look at how to manipulate the deconstruction tab. So I'm going to manufacture a duplicate pair of level 1 boots. Once I've got a couple of level 1 boots that I can experiment on, I'm going to then move on to the deconstruction tab, find the boots, and place them in the deconstruction user interface. In the top left corner, we can see my current skill level is 1523. When I destroy these boots, it moves to 1539. That is only a net gain of 16 points. That is simply not worth it unless you are absolutely desperate to recoup these materials. So magically, I'm going to teleport to the bank here because, I have those kind of skills. And I'm going to deposit those other level 1 rawhide boots. And there we can go. It's the exact duplicate of the same ones I extracted. Now, why am I doing this? Well, ask yourself this question. If you just gave someone full experience points for creating an item, are you then going to give them full experience points for destroying it? And in the case of ESO, no. So I've got newbie noobers in here who just picked up those boots. As we can see, Nubbly McNoobsauce has never even touched a Clothier crafting station. So we're going to have him destroy those level 1 boots. In the top left corner, you can see he gains 126 experience. This is off a level 1 item. In fact, the exact same level 1 item that the crafter only got 16 points for. That's an 8-fold return. It is important to note that these two characters are on the same account. So the penalty is character specific, not account specific. And you can get this bonus off of anything that you did not craft. So quest rewards, world drops, vendor items, or even things that you purchase from an auction house at a decent price can all yield substantial returns to low-level crafters. There are 2 ways to manipulate this. The first is if you are dead set that you want to stay to level that one crafter. You can find, let's say, a guildie. He makes 10 boots, you make 10 boots, and swap them out. Remember, in this game, crafters are going to be very important, especially if they've kept on top of their research like we talked about in our basic video, link in the bottom right corner. In fact, you may even find that your guild is willing to contribute materials to you two just to keep you moving up through the ranks and helping you level those important crafting professions. But I want you to think outside the box here for a moment. As you progress up the levels, the requirement to reach the next level scales up as far as the overall experience points needed, but so does the reward for deconstructing similar level items. Imagine the yield then for a low-level player to get one of those mid-level items. A level 1 who deconstructs a level 14 pair of boots gets about 3/4 of the level just on that one item. So the power level possibilities for lower level alt crafters are just amazing. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, let's take a look at the perks. Outfitter Hireling is a passive ability that will send you crafting materials in the mail on a daily basis, including those hard to get improvement tannins. And you only have to have your crafting at skill level 3 to unlock this ability, which means a few resources from a mid-level character sent to a low-level crafter would allow that crafter to then passively accumulate resources long-term while you simply ignored that character and went back to leveling your higher level crafter. If you do this with 4 or 5 alts, that's a massive amount of stuff that you are accruing on a daily basis with just very little investment involved. You can just take that stuff and then level up those low level crafters, but keep the improvement tannins and send them to your main crafter, and he can probably use that to make a little bit of money. And that's really all I wanted to cover in this leveling guide. If there's something you didn't understand or you need a greater frame of reference, bottom right hand corner is our basic Clothier video, or you can leave a comment or send me a tweet at Dracobor. Oh, and I believe next week I'm going to be doing character builds, so if that's something that's interests you, the subscribe button would probably be a good idea.